Hi, today I want to share with you my tarot and oracle collection. I started reading tarot back in September of last year, and I don't know what happened, but I got quite a few tarot and oracle decks by now, because I don't know. I'm just one of those people who loves to collect things whenever I get really into some things. I have my coffee here. I have, let's count. I have 8 tarot decks and I have 4 oracle decks. So I'm first going to show you through the tarot decks that I own and then through the oracle decks. And for all of these decks, except for 2, but I'll get into those, I have flip throughs on my channel. I'll link a wherever it is on the thing. I'll link in the playlist of all my flip through videos. So if you want to see one of these decks more in depth or want to see all of the artwork, definitely check out those videos. And in this video, I sort of quickly, but not too quickly, I want to get through all of these decks, tell you what I like about them and how they read for me. So let's get into it. So the first tarot deck that I got was the Modern Witch Tarot deck. And the reason that I got this is because it is basically a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, but it is more modern and it has more diversity. It also has more feminine energy in it. So that is how the box opens. It has the guidebook in there. And this one I just keep in the box. It is my goal to make bags for most of these decks, and some of these already have bags. So the guidebook, I think for a complete beginner, I don't think this guidebook is enough because it has the already made interpretations instead of keywords, if that makes sense. So for all of these cards, it has a nice little blurb, but this is already interpreted. So I personally prefer the guidebook of another deck that I'm going to share with you. But I mean, it's okay, but this already has the messages written out for you instead of giving you keywords so you can make up and find your own message through the cards, if that makes sense. But now that I have a little bit more experience with reading tarot, I can make the messages with this deck. For an absolute beginner, I think this deck reads really nicely, but I would use some other resources with it to get into reading. So these are the backs, and apparently this cardstock is really hated because it is really thick. And as you can see, the deck is incredibly thick and it is kind of hard to shuffle. I have practiced a lot because this is my first deck and this is the deck that I have used most often. But yeah, it wears really well because the cardstock quality is so good, but it also is pretty thick, which makes it hard to shuffle. So yeah, that is the Modern Witch Tarot. If you have any questions about any of the decks that I talk about, please let me know in the comments below and I would love to get back to you. So the next deck that I got was this one and the next one that I'm gonna show you. But this is a Friends Tarot deck, and I thought, because I had just finished all of the Friends episode for the second time, and I thought, you know what, this is gonna be so easy to read because I was still getting into tarot and still learning the keywords, all of the cards, and how to interpret messages. And I thought that some of these are really easy to interpret. So for this card, for instance, the 8 of Wands is about movement and changes, quick changes, developments, getting news. And this definitely looks like they have just gotten news and they ran out of the coffee shop, as they often do. And then there's just a lot of images here, like smell the fart technique. This is about working hard. He was working hard, and that's just so funny to me. So yeah, I really like this deck. I have to say I don't use it very often. I really like this was card too. I don't use it as often as I maybe should, but I feel like especially for readings on my channel, is this a deck that you would click on if I have a thumbnail with like these bags? Because the bags look really, really cheap. And of course it is a very affordable tarot deck, but I do find that it is kind of fun to read with. I do have a reading up right now where I use this deck, where you can pick a deck. So if you want to see it in action, I will link that video in the eye. But yeah, that is the Friends Tarot deck, and it does not come with a guidebook. It only has this one card here that tells you what you can do with when you get it. So yeah, definitely get your own guidebook with this if this is your first and only tarot deck. Otherwise, you can definitely use guidebooks from other decks, I think. So with the Friends Tarot deck, I also purchased the Magical Nordic Tarot deck. And the reason that I wanted this one is because I felt it was really Scandinavian inspired. So these cards are a little bit bigger than your normal tarot size. Deck is by Jane Wallace, and she has made some, she's created some other decks that are all very affordable and pretty well known. So the guidebook is pretty good. It has it is a pip deck, by the way, so there aren't really images, really artwork. They're just the pips. But I feel like this is really nice because you have both of the keywords and then the message or an interpretation. So this is the guidebook that really helped me a lot when reading cards, because I would pick this guidebook up whenever I was reading with, for instance, the Modern Witch Tarot deck. So I found this guidebook to be really helpful. For the major arcana, it has a little description of what you see here and the symbolism. It has keywords, it has a short message, and then the actual meaning of the card. Yeah, I think this guidebook is really good, and then the cards are also really pretty. And what I like about the cards is that they have keywords on the bottom, so that makes it very easy to kind of stir your memories of what the cards mean. So I think that is really cool. I have done a couple of readings with this one. I haven't used it in a while, so I feel like I should work with it again, because I kind of feel like I have lost the connection with this deck. Well, that was pretty strong a little while ago, which is interesting because it doesn't matter with the Modern Witch Tarot deck, for instance. If I don't use it for in a while, after I pick it up again, it will always I'll always feel connected to that deck. So that is a little bit different from this one. With this one, I do need to use it regularly. So that is the Magical Nordic Tarot. I don't even remember what deck I got next. I think it was this one, yeah. So this is the Housewives Tarot. And okay, so I keep this in the box because I feel like it is kind of a cute box, but it's also really not helpful because I have made a bag for this. It has these dividers and it has some recipes on there which I can't make because I'm vegan and it's about divined eggs and whatever. So I feel like I want to throw away the box because it annoys me, and I have this bag right here. I have made other kinds of bags like these for my Etsy shop. I really like this, and this one fits the Housewives Tarot and the guidebook in it. The guidebook is really small, but the cards are also smaller, but I'll talk about that. And I really like this one too because it does have a couple of keywords for all of the cards and then a little blurb about the card itself. So the guidebook is really nice, and I like that it is small enough to fit with the deck in the bag. So this is the deck, and it shuffles so well. It is such an easy shuffle because the cards are way smaller. I mean, they're just smaller than regular tarot cards, and it just makes it so easy to shuffle, and they're a nice thickness. I feel like the quality is pretty nice. It has a matte cardstock, and so the deck itself isn't too thick either. It has different borders for all of the suits and the major arcana. It has really nice very interesting kind of artwork. I saw this and I don't know why I felt so connected to the artwork, but I do. And this is one of those decks that is just easy to read with. I don't know what it is. It has very positive, but also kind of quirky energy. And I mean, usually with the court cards, I don't really see it in court cards. I have, as I know many people do, I have trouble with the court cards, but I feel like the imagery here is so clear, and sometimes it's a little different from the original Rider-Waite meanings, the how I picked this up intuitively. Like this is kind of like the bad boy, a distraction, and then this is somebody who takes care of others, who even though they have a cup of water that they could use for themselves, they choose to use it on their loved ones. And but then this one is usually about nightmares, and I mean this is pretty nightmare worthy, I guess, if she was standing over your bed, but I don't know, some are just a little different to read, but I don't know, I have gotten used to it and I really like it. I think this is such a fun deck, and I thought it would be kind of hard to read on one hand because it's not really like a Rider-Waite clone, but I found it pretty easy to read. I found it very intuitive, and I've done a couple of pick a card readings with this deck on my channel that I will either link in the eye if I have enough links there, or I'll link it in the description. So yeah, that is the Housewives Tarot deck. I recently picked up this deck. This is the Spirit Animal deck, not to be confused with the Animal Spirit deck, which is very different. But I thought that this one would be way more up my street. And I'm not gonna lie, it is a challenge to read with this. I wanted to do a pick a card reading for my channel with these, but I had a very hard time reading these cards because not all of the imagery is as clear to me with the readings. So this is the Seeker of Branches, and now I have seen this card a couple of times, so I kind of know what it is about. It's more about adventure and traveling. Then we have this one, the Crocodile and Butterfly, Masters of Discernment. What is this card? It's Judgment. I only know that because I know the numbers, and I know that the second to last Major Arcana card is Judgment. And then we have the Hierophant, the High Priestess. I believe this is the Wheel of Fortune. This card is so pretty. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. But these are just kind of hard to read sometimes. First of all, because you have to think about what kind of card it actually is, what kind of card you've actually drawn, and then there is a lot of information in the guidebook, so I'll give the deck that it does have a lot of information in the guidebook, and it talks about the animals in the cards, and some cards do kind of talk for themselves, but some are just really, here, this one, Shark, Guardian of Shells, this is the King of Cups, I believe, and this is like, okay, what does this mean? What is he doing? He's serene, I guess, but it's, I don't know, it's just a little, sometimes it's a little strange, so I will here, but this one is kind of straightforward. You know, a jaguar is fast, and this is about movement, about quick developments, getting news. So some are kind of straightforward, but most of these are kind of hard to read. I will not get rid of this deck because I do really want to learn how to read with it, because I do like it and I like the idea of this deck. I just have to get used to it, and I have to study it a bit more. But I've kind of spoiled myself because I do own a lot of tarot decks right now that I can easily read with, so that makes it so I don't really reach for the decks that are a bit harder to read with. But yeah, that is the Spirit Animal Tarot. Let's see, next I want to talk about this one. This is my True Heart Intuitive Tarot. I do still have the box of this, but the box is so huge and the guidebook is so huge. I do have to say the guidebook for that deck, for this deck, is awesome. I have this kind of spreadsheet in Word this table where I have written down all of my own interpretations and keywords. And when I get a new deck, I go through the guidebook and see if there are any other interpretations that I can add to that table. And the guidebook from the True Heart Intuitive Tarot was really, really helpful to add to my to my table. So I don't know what it is. I thought that this would be a challenge to work with, but I really like the art. It is so nice to read with this deck. I find that the messages come through really easily. I really like it. The colors are vibrant, the images are very nice. Ooh, and also very clear. I really like it. So there are a couple of different things. So the pentacles here are discs, and we don't have pages and knights, but we have princes and princesses. So that is a little bit different, but I don't really mind that. Yeah, I just really like it. And the size is really nice. It is, yeah, so it is a centimeter wider. Oh, that's strange. It is actually bigger than a normal tarot deck, because a regular tarot deck is 12, which is this, by 7, and this is 12 by 8 centimeters. But I don't know what it is about this deck. Maybe it's the cardstock, that the cards are kind of thin, but that makes it so the stack isn't very thick and it is very easy to shuffle. I gotta say, I don't like the backs. Okay, so the backs are kind of a combination of all of these, because they have the wands, they have the cups, the pentacles, and the swords. But I just don't like these colors. Like, it would have been much prettier if they used this green or this blue, in my opinion. So, okay, I'm gonna put these back randomly. But yeah, I really do like this deck. It reads very easily, and I have this in my desk drawer hidden away. The rest of my decks are all in the back of my closet. So I do like to reach for these cards whenever I do a reading. Okay, so the next deck is the Tarot of the Divine. I do still have the box. In my flip through video, I tell you what happened with the box. But I made this bag for it, which I did do a video on. If you want to see that, this is the Tarot of the Divine. And this is such a popular deck. And for good reason, because this deck is inspired by deities, folklore, and fairy tales from around the world. It is very nice to shuffle. It has very pretty linen kind of cardstock. And I haven't done any readings with this yet. I literally filmed my what I do with a new deck video yesterday or the day before. And I haven't read with it yet. But it is such a nice deck. I like to shuffle it, and whenever I do pull a card just for kind of studying, I'll go to the guidebook and kind of see what it is about, so I get a feel for how these cards read. I do really like the size. I think 12 by 7, so this is just a normal size tarot deck, and the cards aren't too thick, so the deck isn't too thick. Yeah, it's just a really nice deck. I can't really tell you too much about it because I haven't worked with it yet, but I definitely plan on working with it soon, and I would love to have a reading up soon with this deck. So the last tarot deck that I want to talk to you about is this one, and as you can see, this one is a fake one. This is the Spiritsong Tarot. I also have one fake oracle deck, which I will talk about next before I get into my oracle decks, but I got these from Wish. And that is something that I would never recommend to anyone, not to myself as well. I don't know why I did that, because from Wish I bought some tarot cloths and my astro dice. But then I saw these and I was, ooh, they're only $5, so let me pick them up. So I did, and just don't do it. Just don't. I would much rather support the artists, of course, instead of having this rip-off version. And I knew that when I got it. So, but I don't really mesh with this deck. The images are, and I know this is a fake deck, so it's first of all, it's smaller than it probably is. The images are probably not as vibrant, but I just don't really mesh with it. I do like that it has keywords at the bottom. It's not my kind of deck, so I can't really say anything about this. I've never done a reading with this. I have kept it in my stash just because I feel guilty of getting rid of it, but maybe I'll gift it to a friend who I know does tarot. I don't know what to do with it, and I regret picking up tarot decks from Wish. So now let's get into my oracle decks, and the only other deck that I bought from Wish was the Everyday Witch Oracle, and this one I do really like, and I plan on purchasing the original one because I just really like it. I want to support the original artists, and I just want to have the real cards, because these of course are very flimsy, thin cards. They are probably way smaller than the original cards, but what I love about these give great advice. I don't know what it is, and the images are really nice. I really like that it goes all the way to the edge. I love it when cards images go all the way to the edge. Struggling to speak. I've been talking for a while and English is not my first language. So yeah, it is a really nice deck. I absolutely love it, and I haven't really been using it in my readings because I don't support getting fake decks, even though I personally did, and I feel very hypocritical for that. So I don't want to show this deck in my readings, but I feel like the next time that I decide to pick up some new decks, I'm definitely gonna pick up this one because it is not even too expensive. It's been really fun reading with these, and I would love to incorporate these cards in readings on my channel, and also readings that I am gonna offer on my Etsy. So the first oracle deck that I got was the Black Moon Astrology Cards Oracle deck by Susan Shepard. And I made a bag for this, and I modded this because the original decks had this cream colored border around the edges. It was just not nice. And now the artwork or the images go all the way to the edge, and it's just really nice. And I etched them black. I did a shitty ass job, and it still stains my hands, but that's fine. But yeah, these cards are really nice. These are astrology cards. So we have planets, we have signs, we have houses, we have aspects, we have some moon stuff, we have south node, north node. It's a helicopter. Can you hear that? Oh, and we have the elements. That helicopter is flying very low. Okay, but yeah, I absolutely love this deck, and from the start I have found this very easy to read with. And whenever there was something, especially in the beginning when I didn't really understand aspects and things with the moon, there is this amazing guidebook. This is such a good guidebook. There are multiple pages per card. So this is about the first house. It has a quote. I don't know. I don't really read it. And then it has a ton of information about the card. Then it has a brief summary of the card, the corresponding tarot card, if that helps you, and then the key idea. So if you're doing a reading and you just quickly want to know what this card is about, you go to the card, then you flip to the last little blurb, and you have the summary, corresponding tarot card, and the key ideas, which I found to be so useful. And this makes it very easy to read with this deck. And I am not ashamed to admit that I still use the guidebook sometimes, or a lot of the times actually, when I do my pick a card readings, because I just want to be sure that I get everything across, everything that the cards have to say. I want to be sure that I get that message across for you. So that is my Black Moon Astrology deck. Oh, okay, we have two more left. This is the Moonology Oracle card deck, and I know that there's a book that goes with this, but I'm not interested in it yet. Let's see, the guidebook is pretty nice. I have to be honest that I don't really use it because there's a sentence on each card, and I kind of go off of that sentence, as well as the astrology aspect. So when you have full moon in Taurus, I just really go off what I know, my knowledge of the zodiac sign of Taurus. And it says your dream need a practical plan. And usually up until now, I've always used oracle decks at the end of a tarot reading, so I relate whatever this says to the tarot reading that I have already done. So I found this one to be very easy to read, and it does a great job of accompanying my tarot readings. Not much else to say, just I think it's a great deck if you want to learn more about the moon and are interested in the moon and astrology, then I think this is a great deck to have. Oh, and now we're going into the last deck, which is my daily crystal inspiration. I literally only got this because I saw the very popular tarot reader Vanessa. I'm not going to pronounce her last name because I will butcher it, but she uses this deck a lot, and it's aesthetic. So it has these very clean images. It's all white backgrounds. I don't really like the backs. I feel like for how clean the front is, that's how cluttered the back is, but okay. And then I haven't really used the guidebook either. It's just alphabetical order. It has a little bit of a blurb, but again, I don't really use the guidebook because I use it the same way as my moonology oracle deck. It says a little sentence here, and I just use that and go off of that whenever I do my readings, because I pull these at the end of a tarot reading. So I kind of use this to pull together the entire reading. So this one, okay, so I didn't talk about the cardstock of the previous two decks, but those are matte cardstocks and they are awesome. This one is more glossy, and so this one doesn't really shuffle as nicely as the glossy Modern Witch Tarot cards. I feel like they kind of pull, they kind of stick together a little bit, as you can see. Or I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of hard to get a good shuffle in. So this one I do have to do my my laying down way of shuffling. If you've seen my video on what I do with a new deck, you'll know what way of shuffling that I mean. So yeah, I do really enjoy it. I do not gravitate towards this oracle deck as much as I do to the other ones that I talked about, but it's still, I think, a very nice deck to have and to work with, and it kind of looks good, you know? Sometimes you just want an aesthetically nice aesthetically looking deck to work with. Woo, so those were all of my decks, my tarot decks, my oracle decks. I would love to hear from you if you own any of these decks and what your experience is working with them. What are your favorite tarot decks? I definitely want to do a video on my favorites, even though you kind of maybe had an idea from this video what my current favorite tarot decks are. And I also want to share with you what tarot decks are on my wish list, because I got like 10 decks on my wish list and I would just love to share with you. So if you want to see more tarot videos, I do videos on witchy DIYs, like how I make my tarot bags, but I also do tarot readings, pick a card readings, and of course tarot flip throughs. Definitely subscribe to this channel if you are interested in my tarot bags. I have crochet tarot bags, I have sewn velvet bags or other cotton bags. Definitely check out my Etsy shop. I'll link it down below. You can also book a tarot reading with me there. I'm currently working on getting up those listings, but since I do have a lot of videos planned, I'm pretty sure they will be already up. Those listings will already be up by the time this video goes up, so I would love to see you there. Yeah, I just thank you so much for watching. I enjoyed having you here, and I hope to see you next time.